logistics are incredibly difficult, and they're securing it on the beach, very difficult.
Gina, there's a change in language and approach here that we've heard from the Biden administration, isn't there? I mean, just what Tom's been describing there, compare that to a couple of days after the October 7th attacks, and we saw Biden embracing Benjamin Netanyahu. Now we're hearing this very strong language.
Absolutely. I mean, certainly the vice president's tone and words were very strong. And when you think about that the bear hug that happened after October 7th, it is a stark example of how those initial warnings that the president gave Israel about not making the same mistakes of, having an attack against Hamas without having an alternative to Hamas, of thinking about the day after. What do you do once this military conflict is over? It's all very clear that there is not an option of a way forward from the Israeli perspective. And that absolutely loses support. 30,000 people are dead. It's an incredible number.
There's no sign, though, that the Israelis are paying attention to this change in tone from the Americans.
There's no sign from the Prime Minister that he's paying attention, and yet the visit of Minister Gantz is going to be bringing attention. As we've seen, there's a great deal of discomfiture from the Prime Minister about this meeting. You can be assured that the discussions within the meeting would have been about what else can be done. You need to understand and take back to Israel that this is a changing point in this relationship and our support for the way this war is being conducted. So there's tough messages being given.
And Tom, just briefly, where does the US move from here now in this sort of awkward phase of its relationship with Israel, as Gina's described it?
I think this is a moment. I think the Benny Gantz visit is a moment, and it struck me more and more over the last hours, a couple of days, how significant it is that they are doing this, that Mr. Gantz has come here, he's being treated like a Prime Minister of Israel. That is a clear sign for Benjamin Netanyahu, if he didn't need it already. The senior levels of this administration, they're pretty sick and tired with the messages not getting through, and it's an increasing problem. Mr. Biden was asked, as he was boarding the plane today, twice by a reporter, how's your relationship with Mr. Netanyahu? He answered twice, like it's always been. You can read that in two ways. It's hardly a ringing endorsement.
And is it up to the US now at this stage, Gina? Are we at the sort of business end of things? There's no role at this point for the UN or anybody else here?
I don't think it's ever just up to the United States. There are other actors in the field. There are other things that other nations could be doing. I mean, if you look at those who are participating in the Abraham Accords, there's been no overt suggestion or threat of that they're going to step back from a diplomatic relationship. So this is indeed a partnership. We've seen it with the negotiations via Hamas, with the Qataris and the Jordanians and the Egyptians, etc. This is not just on the United States, not to understate the role that we play. We have been the main supplier. The American people are increasingly making known their discomfort with that. There has to be a change in how this is being prosecuted.
And all hopes rest on the deal being done in the next few days. Our State Department correspondent Tom Bateman and Gina Abercrombie Winstanley, the President of the Middle East Policy Council, thank you both for being with us. Well, Ukraine says it has killed at least 7 Russian sailors by sinking a